What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Truck Parking Clubhouse. Happy Monday, November 3rd. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you guys tuning in to last week's Clubhouse. Hope you had a fantastic weekend, by the way. Hope you stayed safe from the ghouls and goblins out there over the road. Wherever you're at, wherever you're tuning in from, drop it in the comments to let us know what you did for Halloween. If you got any pictures of your trucks, definitely send them our way. See how you decked them out. I know November 1st, for me, it's when I cued the Michael Bublé Christmas music. Starts early for me. That's when I start decking out the lights in the truck. So hope you're getting ready for, Lord willing, a great holiday season for everybody out there driving over the road. If you haven't yet, definitely check your inbox. 37 minutes ago, Taillights issue 42 dropped right in your inbox. Might need to check the spam. Never know. But go in there. We cover some stuff, great stuff, crazy stuff that happened over the weekend, including a press conference from the DOT secretary. Also, the 2025 American Transportation Research Institute survey for the top industry issues have just dropped, and we kind of go into it right there in the newsletter. And it's split between the overall top 10 in the industry, and then also between what motor carriers believe is top 10 and drivers versus top 10. And if you hang out at the Clubhouse often every Monday, we always close out by asking our partners what they believe is the number one issue, and their number one issues. Definitely, there's some truth to be told in the A-Tree survey, as some of the number one topics for drivers also happens to be shared by the partners on there. So check it out. We've also got weekly discount codes, partner codes. We got a survey in there. We'd love for trucker members to fill out for us, in which you also get some discounted free parking for filling out that survey. But without any further delay, let's jump right into the Clubhouse with our boy, the Ramblin' Nomad. What's going on, brother?
It's going, man. I'm just here in Essex, California, just chilling. Just picked up a load in Los Angeles, heading to Jackson, Tennessee, and then up to Anoka, Minnesota.
Jackson, Tennessee. Let's go. When you get to Jackson, Tennessee, and you probably know this, but one of my top favorite spots, and something that if anybody didn't know, you can actually order ahead of time on the CB radio, is that Exit 87 barbecue right across from the Loves.
Oh, I didn't know that. Dang, I will have to write that down. That sounds good.
Keep it on your radar. They've got a fantastic sauce. They got ribs to die for. I'd go as far to say they've got some fire ribs. So big shout out to the Exit 87 barbecue. So definitely scope it out when you're out there. So yeah, it's like a little trailer right across the street from the Loves.
Nice. Okay, actually, I think I might have seen that. Yeah, cool.
For sure. So speaking of trucking, you're taking a load, a nice long haul. What got you, the Ramblin' Nomad, into trucking?
It kind of popped in my head a couple times over the years, but I had this this idea of it. Basically, you would be selling your soul and working nonstop, which is kind of true still, but I didn't know if I had it in me to do it. Before I did trucking, I was in behavioral health care for 10 years. I worked in homeless shelters and mental health facilities. The job I had before I became a trucker, I worked in a psych ward in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I enjoyed it. And I was considering becoming a psychiatric nurse, but I really wanted to be outdoors. I wanted to travel. It's always, I mean, my dad's a big traveler. It's kind of in our family history, and I wanted to make good pay. And there was like a 2-year wait to get into nursing school. So I actually got a skateboarding injury and I had to resign from that job. And I took a couple of months and was driving for Uber. And that's the other thing that I realized over the years, is that I can do road trips. I can easily drive 16 to 20 hours, no problem. And I loved it, just listening to music and podcasts and stuff. So it just kind of clicked after doing Uber that, hey, what is the next career path to try out? And so that's how I initially got into it.
Man, that's an insane story. But I think you're one of the first people I've talked to who worked in behavioral health and then made the jump into the trucking industry. It's interesting. Number one, good thing to note for anybody out there. Again, something like an injury, skateboarding injury. Injuries happen to, people, in and outside, whether they're a driver or not. They're seen as bad, but great use of using it, turning a negative into a positive. And I think that that's a great mindset with just this industry issues, life issues, to take those moments that take you back, because it's something that's putting you down there. An injury puts you down. It forces you to reset, reevaluate. You're forced to slow down. At that point, I think we can get caught speeding
Mhm.
up, going hitting the hammer a lot, and we end up not taking a chance to slow down and kind of smell the roses and figure things out. So way to take that opportunity. But man, what a jump you're going. But I love the graduated licensing. You're like, I'm doing Uber. You're like, how do I level up? How do I level up in this vehicle?
Yeah. Yeah, because Uber unfortunately doesn't pay that great, especially I was just running food because, well, actually, I could have delivered people, but it was funny that the Prius I had at the time, I actually hit an elk going 80 miles per hour. So it had this huge dent, which is why I couldn't, deliver people or whatever. But then the battery on it went dead, so I was pretty much broke, and so I got into trucking. I was at Prime for 5.5 years, and they paid for my bus ticket, and I took a Greyhound all the way to Springfield, Missouri, to go to CDL school. So it was fun. I got the traveling that I wanted to do, but I don't have any desire to go on a Greyhound ever again. Hopefully.
Yeah, I've taken one Greyhound bus ride from there. Yeah, definitely interesting characters you'll meet at bus stations, and anytime you have to take a Greyhound. So that's where you got. So you got your start up with Prime. You did 5.5 years with them. Where'd you go after Prime?
Just I'm with. Well, actually, for 2 weeks, I worked for a company that my buddy wanted me to team with him, and I gave it a chance. My buddy's kind of a little out there, and I guess, anyways, he wasn't working for the best company. It was I don't even know where they were based, but it was not in America, and I didn't get paid. So I quit after 2 weeks. But now I've been at Central Oregon for it'll be a year in February.
That's
So, and
awesome.
this company is great. So I highly recommend this company if anybody is interested in flatbed and just good people.
Duly noted. So that's wise words out there, because in the newsletter we've extensively been talking about, especially this summer, about bad carriers, shady carriers, people operating outside of the law, hacked ELDs, and if something ever seems too good to be true,
Hmm.
sometimes it's because it is.
Yep, that was the lots of promises. No delivering on it.
So currently with Central Oregon Trucking Company, so doing flatbed work. I've got one thing we love to highlight, especially for our viewers on Instagram. Again, because at Truck Parking Club, we are a parking application for drivers to use while they're over the road. But I mean, we'd be remiss to not use these channels towards for using them to highlight not just the great drivers in the industry, but also great carriers. And if somebody is driving for a company they'd like to highlight, I've heard very good things about Central Oregon.
Mhm.
I mean, what are your thoughts? How are you enjoying it? Are they hiring? Would you recommend, if any drivers are watching, they should maybe give them a call?
Yeah, I believe they're still hiring. I believe they hire out of 48 states. I live in Florida, so I think if they hire me from Florida, they'll probably hire anywhere. And they start out at 60 cents, I think, and after a year, you go to 62. And I think it's if you get any miles over 2,500, they add a cent. And anyways, it keeps going up. And I get steady miles. I get between 25 to 3,000 or more a week. I mean, it's been slow because of the freight market, but honestly, I'm not complaining because I'm trying to do this other business thing I'm sure we'll touch on. But yeah, it's solid. And the other thing too is that when the truck's in the shop, they pay for you. You get a base minimum amount per week. And they also, I mean, I got special treatment. If you have to go home and your truck breaks down, they will fly you home, or what they did with me is I had to bring some stuff from my truck to Florida, and I was broke down in Ohio, and they got me a rental car, and I showed up, and it turned out to be a Miata convertible. So I got to drive that down. They'll put you up in a hotel. I mean, it's not like a ritzy hotel or anything, but there's just a lot. They take care of their employees, and the guys, they're very they're by the books, but they're not they're respectful, and they expect you to. to be mature and to take care of what you need to. But other than that, they'll joke around and they're pretty laid back. So hopefully, I don't know if, I don't want to go too much. I don't know what I can say and what I shouldn't say, what's proprietary information or whatever, but that's been my experience so far. So
There we go. No, that hits the main point. So for any drivers out there, listen, some good pay out there. It is flatbed work, so it's some good, honest work you'll be doing. They'll hire. I mean, yeah, basically, I mean that basically cuts the hiring location. If they're hiring out of Florida, I mean that means you could basically be anywhere. Might have to depend, but worth the call and worth the conversation. So if you guys are looking for your next driving job, give Central Oregon a shout and feel free to reach out to the Ramblin' Nomad before you get rolling. I know you mentioned kind of a softer freight market, but things have been rolling good. You're able to get some miles. I got to ask. I mean, flatbeds, different beast in itself, especially when it can come to parking. So I got to ask you. So I mean, when was the first time you had heard about Truck Parking Club?
I've actually been parking with Truck Parking Club for, I don't even know, at least 3 years. When did they start? How long have they been around?
Today actually is a fun fact, and I should have mentioned as the clubhouse happened, but today's technically Truck Parking Club's birthday,
Cool.
third birthday. So
Okay.
big
Okay.
big shout out. So it's been a little bit.
That tracks. Okay. So I maybe, because I remember seeing one or two spots in my hometown in St. Pete, Florida, and I've been because there's hardly any parking in St. Pete. So I've been parking at there's a huge gated lot behind like this Jeep repair shop that I've been parking at for, I would say, almost 3 years when I go home. And yeah, it's been nice. It's such a, because the only other truck stop in town, it's very difficult to maneuver, and there's not necessarily parking reserved. You can't reserve it or anything. So it's just been nice to secure a spot for sure every time I go home.
No, that's awesome. So you're an early adopter in it. So going home, yeah, Florida's definitely a tough market, and yeah, I noticed recently you've hung out at a couple of the couple locations. How's it been? How's it been coming in handy for you? Tell us about those last couple of properties you were at.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, honestly, it's helped a lot with stress to know that I have that option pretty much anywhere in the country now. If if I want just peace of mind and a quieter, um, night, or if there's no parking, I don't have to. I don't know. I guess I haven't had a whole lot of problems because flatbed, we do go into inner cities, but we usually like get out of them pretty quick. So I'd say, I don't have it as hard as other drivers probably, but it's also, I've been out here almost 7 years and I've gotten kind of bored. So it's kind of nice checking out new places. And especially if it's easy, it's good peace of mind to just leave the truck and to be able to go into town and know that the truck's secured, and you don't have to worry about it being towed. I've been booted. I I sometimes will try to park at Planet Fitness, but that's honestly part of the reason I started working out inside my truck is because I got booted at one. So that's an alternative if people want to park at Truck Parking Club and then hit the gym. um I guess that's a perk, but yeah.
Yeah, it's good to know. There, yeah, definitely. We have a no towing, no booting policy. So that's good to know. Which, by the way, which just so people know, do you remember
Mhm.
which Planet Fitness you were booted at?
Yeah, don't go to Texarkana. Yep.
Texarkana, Texas side, or Louisiana
Oh, you know what? Dang, which one was it?
or Arkansas? Yeah.
I think it was Arkansas. Yeah, I think it was. I'll have to double check, but they have one of those just boot companies that they go to pretty much any parking lot in the downtown area. So yeah, but every other Planet Fitness I parked at, I've been fine. So, but yeah, it was $500, so not fun.
Yeah, and that's I mean that's kind of the sub part of our mission there too, is to give people the option instead of risking the boot, they can have something reserved ahead of time. So yeah, it's good to help you get out of a bind. That last spot in Metropolis, Illinois, though,
Hmm.
that was so nearby. There's a truck stop nearby, and it was full.
There's a rest area, yep, across the street. It's a pretty rural exit. But it was peaceful. Yeah, it was small, little tight, and there was that mound. I don't know if that's temporary, but Yeah, it was decent. I mean, I think for the night it was $15, so it's, more inexpensive than other spots. And then actually, I did park in another one. I haven't done the review yet, but I parked in Manhattan, Kansas, and it was at a storage unit, and it was awesome. It was peaceful. I got an Uber into town, did what I needed to do, and so, anyways, I'll submit that video. But yeah, it's nice to. I can't wait until I go visit. I got a buddy in New York City, and every single time I go to visit him, I would take that chance parking at is it Lombardi or no? I'm sorry, not Lombardi. Sorry,
Vince
what?
Lombardi,
Yeah,
Chuck
Lombardi.
Lister.
Yeah. And I've gotten 2 tickets there, so I can't wait to check out some of the truck parking spots in New York City area.
Yeah, let's go. Definitely let us know when you're up in the city area. That's some fire content. And quick shout before I get to my next question. Speaking of content, but number one, big shout out to our boy Ralph, who's jumping in on YouTube. He almost shares a birthday with Truck Parking Club. So shout out Ralph. If you guys aren't following Ralph's Trucking on YouTube, Instagram, basically anywhere on social media, definitely go give him a follow. The guy's super informative. Drives for Tyson. He's jumped on the Clubhouse a few times. We'll have him back on soon too, especially as we get loaded towards the holidays. But yeah, speaking of content, you were mentioning Planet Fitnesses. You are a content creator. You pump it out pretty regularly. What made you decide to start making content?
I have been artistically minded throughout my life. I've loved movies. Again, it runs in the family. My dad wanted to be a filmmaker, and I actually went to art school in high school. And I mean, I have a preference for making music, but it's kind of hard to do that on the road. And combining that with the desire to get in shape, I did some, hitting the gym, small, bodybuilding type style fitness before I became a trucker. And then I put on weight, kind of got depressed with the isolation and the work hours. And I got sick of it. I mean, I started to have transient high blood pressure from the stress, and I just knew I needed to change stuff. So I've lost about close to 30 pounds. I've been working out, just trying to figure out some sustainable routines on the truck with the equipment that I have. And then also with to be honest, with the freight market crash, I've been thinking about how can I create an online business that I can do at least part time to, because my goal is to eventually buy my own old truck and work part time and just be an owner operator, which is pretty tricky in this economy right now. But so it was a combination of things, and I really enjoy making the different reels, just recording myself working out in the truck. And you don't really see a lot of drivers working out. You'll see, maybe for me, I've only seen maybe two each year outside of the truck working out. But I know, actually, I will mention, before I got into the industry, about 9 years ago, I saw a YouTube of this guy, and he was jacked, a driver, and he had a full weight rack that he would set up outside his truck. And he had like Olympic plates and a barbell, and he was doing squats. I'm like, dang, that looks fun. I want to be, like that guy. So, yeah, so I've just been, the last truck I had, the Cascadia, is bigger. I'm in a Kenworth T680 now, but I had the Olympic rings because I would hook them up to the ladder on the top bunk. And anyways, yeah, it's just, it gives you something to do out here to kind of break up the monotony. And it's been night and day, the influence it's had on my physical health and my mental health, just staying active. And I just wanted to inspire people too. Um, so yeah, I'm willing to start coaching guys. But it's really rewarding just to be able to, again, not just post and feel proud about doing something artistic or whatever, but to get that feedback from people, to get them motivated and to see that, hey, you don't have to, because a lot of the times people will say just get to the gym, but I mean, it's hard enough to find parking, and then on top of that, you have to pay for Uber and hope that there's a gym. Like, a lot of times now, Planet Fitness closes, especially out west. They close at like 7 o'clock on the weekends, and during the week 9 or 10. So it's not as convenient as it used to be. So, anyways, yeah, I feel like I'm rambling now.
You are the rambling nomad. So
Yeah.
it goes right into it. But no, it's good. When it comes to making content, like I always think, like not everybody needs to make content. People should always do what they want. But in my conversations with people, people will normally say, I do like in conversation, people will say, I want to make more content, but either I don't know how or I'm nervous. Like people
Mhm.
generally, genuinely who have social media share it, communicate with people, and do kind of what, and they post, and whether they know it or not, I mean, they'll post pictures of life events, whatever it might be. Maybe it's just a way of documenting things that are going on. But most people I talk to, especially drivers, say that they do want to make it, not realizing. I mean, almost every driver I've talked to in a lot of different ways, young and old, has been, I don't like to use the term influence, but almost has been guided by, especially YouTube, because I'd say
Mhm.
YouTube's pretty ironclad as it's been around the longest. Like YouTube basically came out, like I was watching Kimbo Slice videos in summer 2006. So it's like people
Yeah.
been people been on YouTube for quite some time, including so drivers have been on there too. And especially when I got my first truck, like I was watching videos of guys who own their own truck. And so it's like that's where we're going to for information. Like you're not going to find you can get all the information you want on podcasts and from books all you want, but until you're seeing somebody who you kind of until you see somebody who you can relate to doing it, it's very hard to it is hard to learn to have practical application on doing things. You might have heard about this guy who came from small town USA who eventually, became an owner operator and grew a fleet. Like you can read his story, but to see it in a
Mhm.
series over time and follow up with it is just that much better, which is why more people should be making content, especially when it has to do with lifestyle. We've talked about mental health on the show, on the Clubhouse, a bunch. I have in the newsletter every week, I put a health tip of the week in there, which this week I talk about why, as we have less daylight, you should talk to your doctor about supplementing vitamin D. And I list the benefits of why you don't want to be deficient in it. And those types of things and that type of content needs to be in the algorithm. People think that they are voiceless in this industry, but they're not. It's how we can talk. It's how we communicate in the digital world. So I commend you for making the content, leading by example, and freaking yeah, motivating some other drivers. Even if it's just one driver listens, it's good. It's good stuff.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep doing it and see what happens. But uh but yeah, definitely the mental health piece for sure. Um yeah, it's nice to have that community. And I mean it just seems like trucking content is becoming more popularized. I think a lot of people are probably looking into the industry, and even if not, it's a unique lifestyle that I think a lot of people like to vicariously live through. So big channels like Alex Nino, I think, and Jake Clyde, just a bunch of the bigger channels and stuff. It's visually interesting, and I'm a visual learner myself, so it's like the motor neurons are firing when I'm watching somebody, especially the POV content seems to be pretty popular. So that's what I'm going to try to do more with the channel, with my channel, is instead of you know having the camera viewing me from a distance, I'm going to be showing guys like virtual reality, this is what you could be doing on the truck too. It's really not that hard, you know and have them that connect that. So yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, the POV content is always interesting. They seem to be easy to digest, and I always think about some of my old running videos. And it would have, I'm not sure the point would have if I just documented my runs POV style, and people just
Yeah.
saw like the most desolate, boring, unattractive roads in front of them, or like cold, snowy roads in central Iowa. That'll go for at 20 degrees. Probably would be freaking scroll right to the next. But yeah, the POV content people are into, especially if it's showing you laying out the weights, laying it out in the truck stop, and it's just like, oh, he's doing it. I'm gonna freaking do it.
Yeah.
So keep
I
keep the
don't
hammer
know.
down.
I think that would be interesting. Maybe not for like 20 minutes straight, but maybe clip it up or something, and just the ASMR too, of like the breathing while you're running and everything. I think that's a part of it too.
Might have to give it a shot. Well, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
But for anybody who is watching, if you're not following the Rambling Nomad, you can check him out anywhere. Are you on YouTube by chance?
Yep. Yeah, it's I believe, yeah, all my social media is Ramblin' Nomad.
Perfect. So go follow him on all those platforms. One last question I got for you though, because again, I mentioned at the top of the Clubhouse, the 2025, American Transportation Research Institute, top industry issues, top 10 have dropped. And fun fact for those guys tuning in, so truck parking, which has sat in the, it was up at number 2 last year. It has moved down to number 4, so it's still on the list, but based off of survey data, it's either gotten better or other things have gotten worse. I'd like to think it's gotten better. With as we've continued to add more properties, we just crossed over 3,200. We have a lot of infrastructure being built throughout the U.S. So I'd like to think it's improved. Job's definitely not done. It's still obviously being in the top 5, nonetheless. But other economic issues seem to top the list. But I got to ask you specifically, what do you think is the number one issue facing the trucking industry right now?
Yeah, it's hard to single out one thing. I mean, definitely pay, but I think it's related to just not regulating brokers and um, just no recourse that drivers have. Um, I would say that, and then also predatory like truck leasing, lease purchase programs. Now you can make it work, but I just I don't know. There's a fine line between taking that risk as an entrepreneur and then having a big company exploit you for taking. You're taking on a lot of the burdens that without as much potential reward. Um, but anyways, I maybe there's some things that I'm missing, but yeah, it just doesn't. It just seems like, especially with inflation and everything, the pay for drivers, especially owner ops too, like just trying to make it, um, is not great. So I don't know. Hopefully things will turn around and it'll be better. I mean, I will say I did train for a bit with Prime and I was making good money, but what the last 3 years it's been pretty rough. So
Yeah, I was going to say, did you happen to? Well, first thing, so I mean, the first thing you said was driver pay, which is the
mhm.
number one issue. So for again, that A-Tree survey split between top 10 industry wide for just the industry. That's what the entire industry believes are the issues, and then there's carriers and drivers. The top 10 for both carriers and drivers, and number one for drivers was driver pay. You mentioned predatory leasing agreements. Have you done one, or did you do one by chance to kind of learn from it?
Yeah, I made the best of it, and like I said, when things were good, it was good, but when things are bad, there's no protections or you bear the burden of the responsibility of a lot of things. And I don't know, now that I'm in a good solid company, it's nice to not have to worry about being responsible for as much and also being capped to a certain weekly, like you pretty much will have to really fight to make past a certain point. Now, I don't know. Every company's different, and I will say honestly, I don't really have complaints about Prime. Prime was a good starter company, but I've heard horror stories from other drivers about their lease like a lot of lease purchase people do not make it through the entire lease, and I was able to do it and I lucked out. But that last year and a half was pretty rough trying to get through it. Um, because I could have turned in my truck. It was one of those walkaway leases, but then you're responsible for any wear and tear on the truck, which probably would have been close to 10K um, at the end of having it for 4 years. So um, yeah, so I don't know. There's pros and cons to it, but I guess I would have to research a little bit more to say 100% that should get rid of um, that as an option. But it does seem like a lot of the bigger carriers have taken uh, the opportunity to focus more on that rather than just providing good solid company jobs with insurance and paid home time, or not paid home time, but that's the other thing too, is just making sure drivers can afford to go home and have quality home time. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Just the fact that that company that I worked for for 2 weeks, weren't even based in the States. So not regulating that at all either. I've heard horror stories out of Chicago, especially. So, anyways, I could jump around, but
Yeah, no, yeah, if you keep talking long enough. I mean, there's always a bunch of issues you can bring up. It's I mean, but I think pay should top the list because and pay is tied to economics, which seems to be what the H3 survey shows. The economy isn't what people want it to be. It's not up to the standard it should be. It's it's interesting. I read an article in the Atlantic about really because the stock market doesn't show that the stock market and the recent AI boom that we've been having shows that thumbs up on a lot of ways. Like in a lot of ways, the graph going up and stocks being what they are is somewhat being propped up by the AI boom, which could run into a few snags as we have these data centers being built. But really, for a lot of other people, and even throughout the tech world, I mean, layoffs are still happening, motor carriers are still going bankrupt. So I mean, and yeah, and then tied to that leasing point is because I think overall, again, I don't fully disparage the leasing trucks and stuff. I think it's not a black and white. It's not a binary issue of, and I don't think blanket banning them is because like blanket bans or just like carpet bombing, like kind of regulations on that always ends up with it can always end up a lot worse. But overall, the idea of the lease purchase and what it's done has been a way to keep wages suppressed as it removes the liability of a carrier. I mean, it's they're essentially getting an asset paid for. They're getting an asset paid for by somebody else's business, but more so their labor, and it doesn't favor the driver. And overall, and this is just my own personal beliefs and opinions, is that things need to overall in the industry, things need to favor who runs the industry, which is the driver overall. But no, that's good on your top industry issues. Before we roll this one out, once again, quick last pitch. Where can the people find you? You've got a free template guide. I know I've seen you post about it. You got a free workout guide or something. Let the people know one last time where they can find you and where they can get some of your free templates.
sure. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Ramblin' Nomad on all of those. And then I started a school group, SKOOL. It's free. And I'm just trying to bring drivers together and get a culture and community going, sharing workouts, different, nutritional, better health, better food choices. And I do have a free small ebook that I put together of the workouts and what I used to lose most of the 30 pounds that I did. And that is also available if you go to the school. But you can also just, if you go to any of the pages, comment 10-4 on any of the, or DM me anywhere. Or you can email me at the ramblinnomad@gmail, and I'll get back to you. So,
Perfect.
yeah. And
That's awesome, man.
well, and if anybody's interested, I did also put together some DIY programs where I have instructional videos of the dumbbell workouts, band workouts, and body weight workouts that you can do inside the cab. So if you're interested in that as well. And then, like I said, I'm putting together a one-to-one custom coaching program for those that are more motivated or serious to start doing some. I think before we got on this, I was talking about the reverse dieting. So I utilize high carbs, and I lost 6 pounds in the last 2 months while increasing my calories by 800. So, anyways, if you guys are interested in that, I can chat with you about that.
There you go, right there. If you couldn't tell, if you've been tuning in since the beginning, the Rambling Nomad's an individual who is aiming to leave the industry better than they found it. Coming in here, I mean, already working a job trying to make the world a better place, coming from behavioral health. Uh, Rambling Nomad, you jump into this industry, you come in, you dig your heels in, you're going one step further in a lot of the content you make. So for anybody out there who's watching in live, number one, appreciate you tuning in. But the overall goal here is to leave the industry better than he found it. So highly recommend you go follow him on social media wherever he's at. And we work with guys like the Ramblin' Nomad because they want to leave the industry better than they found it, because that's exactly what we do at Truck Parking Club. We help truckers save time, fuel, and thus money by being able to instantly reserve truck parking all across the United States. We just crossed over 3,200 properties nationwide. And so if you need parking tonight, tomorrow, anytime this week, you want to reserve it ahead of time, you want to make sure you got a spot to where you can get a workout in or get some steps in, we've got that code right at the bottom of the screen. You can use that code NOMAD20, all lowercase, to get $20 off your next booking. But with that, guys, that'll do it for this week's Clubhouse. We'll be back next week, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Take care and hammer down.